Jerry, is this on?
I feel like I can hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Let's call this meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, December 10th of 2024. And if you're willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you all for coming. Can we have roll call attendance, please?
Weinbrenner.
Here.
Wendell.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Kyer.
Here.
Brandon.
Here, we have a quorum. All items listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Village Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately immediately after consent agenda approval in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I motion to accept the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Wendell.
Second.
We have a second by Ryan. Roll call vote, please.
Ryan.
Yes.
Weinbrenner.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Wendell.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes. Motion carried. Congratulations to the newly appointed. Moving into public comment. Members of the public can address council once recognized by the chairpersons. Comments are limited to a maximum of 4 minutes for items not on the agenda. Council may extend this time by up to an additional 4 minutes by a majority vote. For items on the agenda, comments may be made after council discussion prior to council vote. Prior to addressing council, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. Do we have any public comment? Ms. Mattson.
Anna Mattson, 15091 Western Valley. I really hate to do this before the presentation of our firefighters. I was hoping that the presentation would have come before public comment. As you know, I've been looking into why our jail cells have been down, and I've requested records that supposedly I'll get on December 19th, so we'll see what happens with those. I've been in communication with the chief, and there's been many reasons floated around on why our jail cells are down. One of the reasons was staffing, but Chief Narsh told me that we had 5 people on staff specifically to come in and watch the cameras when someone is detained in our jail cells. And then today he confirmed that we have 3, so 2 fell off or whatever have you during a month period. Then the other reason was camera systems, that our camera system is down that we use for arraigning people. Instead of going back and forth, I ended up just calling the courts today. And I said, tell me about this system. Because in your packet, Mr. Walker said that it's been down since 2019. So I said, is there any other camera we can use? Can we use a webcam? Can we use anything else, or does it have to be this specific system? They said that officers are instructed during court hours, instructed is the word that she used, to bring anyone detained right to the courts. Outside of court hours, they are supposed to be detained either at the county or in our jail cells. So that is obviously not a reason that we should not be holding people, because we don't need that camera in the first place. The last reason is plumbing. It is said in your packet that there's been a plumbing issue since 2023. I had a plumbing issue 3 weeks ago. I had a plumber out the same day. So why it's taking between 1 to 2 years to get a plumber out is wild. This entire building was rehabbed in that amount of time, and we can't get a plumber out to our jail. I am concerned that you guys are not concerned about this. You guys are talking about public safety. Ms. Brandon, you've talked about possibly putting cameras downtown for public safety. If you are concerned about public safety, you should be concerned about our jail cells. Because after court hours, what are we doing with people? Because I've been told we don't bring people into the county because then we'll leave one officer here alone in town. So let's say we put up these cameras and we catch people committing crime in our downtown. What do you do with them afterwards? Can't bring them in. We're not taking them to the county. So this needs to be addressed. This is quite literally a 911 issue. This is a public safety concern. And again, I'm concerned that you guys are not concerned about this. Now moving on, as we celebrate our fire staff today, maybe we can talk about actually giving them some full-time staff. We have the only department in Oakland County that doesn't have any full-time firefighters. Our chief is the only one that's full-time, and it puts a lot on his plate. So we talked yesterday at the DDA meeting about adding extra enforcement officers for the police. What about taking care of our fire department? They are always the last one that's a priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. Is there any further public comment?
Mary Blanchard, 3444 Old Creek Drive. I have handed out some paperwork to the council, and I do have extra copies if anybody would like them. We have PFAS in the village water. We have PFAS on the village dump, and now we have PFAS in people's private wells. I was supplied with the paperwork that I gave you through the village offices this week. I paid $14 for that, in addition to thousands of dollars I've already paid for other FOIAs, and when our group has information, we turn it over to you, to the state agencies, and everybody else for free. You will notice on the first group of papers, there are 4 sheets, different years. Each of these have PFAS in them. They may not be over the limits, but they're there. And I can tell you from previous with Fenton, as soon as they noticed that they had PFAS numbers, they turned around and they looked for a source. Have we looked for a source? It's a long distance from the dump to the village wells. The second group of papers is from Independence Township. Mr. Clausen and I attended the Drinking Water Conference through Eagle, and one of the presentations was from Independence Township. They literally shut down 2 community wells due to concern about pulling PFAS contaminants from their old dump to private drinking water wells. One was 1.4 million gallons per day. The other one was 1.6 million gallons per day, shut down, so that their residents did not get PFAS in their wells. The last sheet is from MDHHS, and it actually talks about PFAS sources and how to reduce your risk. Everybody needs to know this, because this is for everybody. It's getting into our water, our soil, our air, and our bodies. I would be happy to share with anybody. The other thing I would like to say is, I know he's already left the council, but I would like to give credit to Councilperson Harrington, who actually stood with me in Holly Foods parking lot last summer for 20 minutes and listened and absorbed what I was saying about PFAS and other contaminants in this area, and he was doing it while his young grandson was in a shopping cart. So thank you to Mr. Harrington.
Thank you, Ms. Blanchard. Public comment? Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Denise Cantu, 15600 Polk Road. cut down the trees coming down our drive. We're right next to this 40-acre toxic dump that there were no records about when we purchased our home. The records were all lost and destroyed, and according to our township supervisor, George Colas, he said that Ardith Regan, upon her death, requested her daughter to burn all the records, calling it Holly's own atomic bomb. So now they want to fence in this 40-acre toxic dump next to me, and they came in, and it looks like a tornado went through down our drive, just flattened it because they want to put a 6-foot fence and to keep people out, which really nobody goes in there except Eagle. And we asked him whose idea was it, and he said Eagle's. So immediately we called, in fact, his exact words were, in fact, I'd like to see the money put to better use. So immediately I called Kim Etheridge, who works at Eagle. She's like the main person who's working on all this toxic stuff. And she said no. I asked her if that was her idea, if it was Eagle's idea, and she said no, it was Jerry Walker's idea, and so did Mike Mueller, Jerry Walker's idea. So I just want to know why lie to me? What are you gaining by lying to me? Then better use fighting. Okay, so we've been fighting for this for 8 years now. And in 8 years, in our water, they test, the test wells in the dump were supposed to be tested every year, and they hadn't been tested in 25 years. And if it wasn't for our neighbors saving the records, that's how we found out about this dump. We still wouldn't know about it. They were supposed to be tested every year. They hadn't been tested in 25 years. So the last 7, 8 years, they've been tested now, and it keeps coming back, non-detect. Well, now it's in our water. This is what we've been fighting for. We said, when the development happens up at Holly Hills, now it's caused all this flooding. We're constantly being flooded, and now it's in my water. I got a call about a week and a half ago from Lansing saying that now we have to get, they want to put a filter in my kitchen sink. Well, what about my bathroom? What about my shower? And ours is PFOAS, which is more volatile than the PFA, the other one. I'm just a grandma that, I don't remember all the terms. All I know is I'm being told by the toxicologists now that this is serious now, that even that can be airborne in steam when I take a shower. So it's just getting worse. We tried to warn everyone about the flooding, and it's just getting worse. And now they bring it in more because there's a reason they were denied 199 units all those years ago up in Holly Hills. We cited too many wetlands and
Michigan Natural Features Inventory.
but because of a consent judgment, a clerical error by the clerk, the township clerk, they won a consent judgment and then they got to do what they wanted. But yet, they were also paid $2.9 million, 1.9 million to agree to no more than 299 units. Then they sold their company, and now they're back to almost 800 units that they just get to do. But someone got paid $1.9 million. I just got a tidbit bit more. Stacy's gonna be handing you something. We've been coming to these meetings for 8 years, and we get 3 or 4 minutes, 4 at one, 3 at the other. And then I feel like nobody reads anything that we hand them. There's a reason we're fighting. This is all of our water. We all have the same aquifer over here. Hands tied because they keep telling us their hands are tied because of the consent judgment, unless it has to do with public health. Well, this is public health. It's getting in our water now. That's a big deal to me, and I'm told there are no safe levels of PFAS. So, you might say other places have it worse, but now it has reached mine and another neighbor's, and it's just spreading. Good, I just made it time, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
And
Cantu.
I'd like an answer one day, if you could possibly give me an answer, why you felt you needed to lie to me and say that it was Eagle's idea. Because now it looks like hell going down, for no reason.
Thank you, Ms. Cantu.
Thank you.
Is there any further public comment?
Stacy Taylor, 15566 South Road. So I have made this a second career, and you know what? It's getting really old. Because most people in this room have some amount of knowledge of what's happening here. Now, that being said, I put together a little packet here. I handed it to Phil Roos, the director of Eagle. I've met him 3 times, and the second time that we visited after I handed him his first documents, he says there's more than PFAS going on here. And that was in front of the COG, which is a Citizen Advisory Work Group, which is Mary Blanchard and about 75 other people around the state that are affected by PFAS. We have heavy metals. Arsenic is in my water. It's on Bush Lake. We have PFAS foam in Rice, in Bush. We have algae blooms going on Rice Lake. And there's a 10-lake chain that is connected, and the runoff is now affecting all of those. We also have proven that it's in the Shiawassee River. Channel 7 videotaped us while we were taking those testing. Now, that being said, this is what I'm going to hand you today. So the very first document is an overview. Then there's a timeline. These are the specifics of what's happening here. This is by University of Michigan. Our aquifer is close to the surface. That is why it is susceptible to contamination. There's 52 other communities that are involved in this situation. The Prairie Friends on the minor property, which is Holly Hills, are a problem, you guys. This is one of the most important documents that I'm going to hand you. This is Tim Carpenter. It's the village's person that they hired to do the hydrogeological study. He said, design a cleanup and closure strategy. Subsequent to completion of the site characterization and hydrogeologic investigation, it will be necessary to develop plans for final closure of the site. This process will involve reviewing several alternative strategies, including their relative costs and associated effectiveness of a long-term solution. Final method will depend on the desired final use of this site, anticipated future development in the area, and the risk acceptable to the community and the MDNR. Right now, 200 acres are being clear-cut. The wetlands are being removed, and Boss Engineering is on site today. They started again. They're making more. Behind me, there's a guy that's doing the same thing to the 5 acres between us. And the pipes he's bringing in are like this. And guess where that water's moving? Right down to the Shiawassee, Bush Lake, Rice Lake, and up there by Hawaiian Gardens. Practical method for estimated land use and the surface runoff, groundwater recharge, and wetland hydrology. Our water is at threat, folks, and it's happening. And I've been on top of this because other people before me fought. People in this room have ability, and they are not choosing to use it wisely. This is 2012. This is the state. This is the density they were supposed to do. This is the $299 that they agreed to and got paid $1.9 million. Mr. Kinnaman, McKinney's dad, Robert, 1970, we have problems at all 3 of these dumps. And I don't have to say it, but I am going to say it. And lastly, this is the developer. They know they are exacerbating this dump, and they're doing it anyways. Now, I'm going to hand each of you one of those. Now, Mr. Walker, I'm angry with you, sir. I have tried to come to you many times. Denise and I have had meetings. You brought Nicholas Klemp to him, and you sat there and said, I already know everything. Well, no, you don't. This is the for you. You said, hold on, I'm sorry. I got myself all worked up here. No microphones and no cameras when they asked for a meeting with the state. Why? What were you saying? You then turned around and spent months trying to get out of testing and blamed it on the COVID. That wasn't the case. Mr. Clausen is the only one that said this is critical and we must address this. Folks, here we are. It's 2024 and this is still happening. So I implore you, the new board, the new people, let's get this right. One more quick thing. Mr. Narsh, there was a VAS boring that was left open in 1992. This is the Holly Police Report. There is still currently a VAS boring that was drilled last year by RRD. It is still currently open. I have brought it to their attention multiple times. I did it with WSG.
Ms.
with Ken.
Taylor, we need to move on.
Yep. done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you for your report this evening.
Yep. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment?
Thank you.
Kristen Watt?
It's off.
Whatever. 102 South First Street, number 3. I will keep this super brief because I know you have a presentation. I just wanted to take a moment and recognize for just a moment our small businesses in particular. I didn't know she was going to be here tonight, but Is this one working? Okay. I didn't know she was going to be here tonight, but anyway, I just wanted to thank Linda Stouffer from Battle Alley Coffee. My daughter is in our Holly High School theater, and I don't know what's happening, but anyway. Anyway, she's in the theater department, and I've known and helped with the theater department for a long time with our schools, as far as in the background, and supported them. And so I was asked this year, as a bunch of senior parents had left the building. The theater department in our community does not have a booster club like our football, our band, where they have a separate entity that help with fundraising. So it's always been volunteer and parent driven. And oftentimes with fundraisers, your child will come home with a catalog of overpriced wrapping paper and God knows what else that we don't need. We just want to support our kids in the community. And our small businesses do a very, very good job of supporting where needed in our community. But this was a last minute, never been done before, local fundraiser I was asked to help with. And I said, I will help you, but I want us to start using our small businesses in our local community to do fundraising. It benefits their bottom line and it benefits our students instead of sending our overpriced money to God knows where and corporations. So I called Linda. She was like the first person I called. And in the middle of Dickens Festival, Halloween, and every busy moment that everyone downtown has to be doing 100 things, we managed, just tonight I picked it up, 182 pounds of coffee are in a car out in the parking lot, and the kids really loved it. And so I just wanted to thank her for, in the middle of doing everything else that you do, she got the order to us 5 days early. So I just wanted something positive to say tonight as well, because these are all valid concerns that everyone's brought up. But I also wanted to encourage any other local business owners to partner with our schools if you have chance. These are opportunities to bring revenue to your stores and new customers, as well as support the arts here in Holly. So that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Watt. Is that microphone not working?
No, it's turned off again.
Is there any further public comment? Mr. Cullis?
Never fails.
So that's your theme song.
Now we all, Mr. Collis. Can you use this one, please? Yeah, use this right here, sorry.
So, George Cullis, 601 East Maple Street. I'm here this evening as the representative of WODA, West Oakland Transportation Authority. I am the representative for the northern quarter of the county, or the northern corner of the county. That would be Holly Township, Village of Holly, Rose Township, Springfield, and Groveland. Both you and Amber were on the council when that was voted on. As many of you know, I was an opponent of this tax. It's the 0.95 mils that was on the 2022 ballot. They didn't have a plan going forward, but they put it on the ballot countywide. When Brooks Patterson was county executive, the northern tiers and the western tiers, which are all of the rural portions of the county, were allowed to opt out. When the Oakland County Commission was taken over on the Democratic side, they came forward and they decided to put it ballot wide with no opt-out. And in the election of 2022, the entire northern tier and the western tier of the county voted no, because we're a rural area and we don't have the population. The unfortunate part is, because we don't have the population, we didn't have the ability to outvote the southern, southwestern, Royal Oak, Ferndale, Madison Heights, all those communities. So it passed. Right after it passed, the county commissioners made a statement that they would have to implement slowly as they figured out a plan and what to do. They collected the money immediately, but they probably wouldn't get to the northern tiers until 2 or 3 years later. I called a meeting of those 5 communities I just mentioned, the 4 townships and the village, and we decided that our voice would be stronger together. We met with People's Express, which is used in the southwest portion of the county, down in Wixom, South Lyon, Novi, that area. And we also met with WODA. And at that time, the county had come out and said they were going to go with WODA, with NODA. WODA is West Oakland Transportation Authority. There's also an authority called NODA, North Oakland Transportation Authority. WODA was formed by Highland, White Lake, and Waterford, the M59 corridor. NODA was the M24 corridor, which was Auburn Hills, Orion, and Oxford. And then over in the Rochester area, they had OPC, which is O People's Commission, and I had nothing to do with naming that. But that's what that was called. And then they also, the county also said they would partner with People's Express, which was handling the corner. So in order for us to get attention now, seeing as you're getting our money now, our 5 communities elected to go with WODA. So we are now part of WODA. I sit on that board as a representative for our region. Tonight I wanted to come out and give you the report. You can pass this down. There's enough copies for the 2 new council people as well. I did want to just highlight 2 things for the public. Part of our funding comes from SMART, and we just received a check for $619,545. That covers the earlier part of 2023. That's how slow this funding is moving to get around. We are still waiting for $292,509.90. There's a lot of money involved here. We were handling transportation before this happened at a much lower cost. While we're getting services up here, and you've probably seen the buses moving around, when you weigh what our 5 collective communities pay in relationship for what we get, it's just an unfortunate situation. That being said, I did want to bring up 2 points on the bottom of the front page.
I will
They are-
entertain a motion to allow another
I second the
1
motion.
minute.
Actually, I'll entertain that motion to allow for another minute or 2 for Mr. Colas. Daniel, what were you saying?
I'll second it. I'll second the motion.
You'll make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Okay. For, was it 1 minute, 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
All right,
We have a motion by Wendell for 2 more minutes for Mr. Colas and a second by Ryan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Mr. Colas?
okay. So on the bottom of the front page, I did highlight for myself, you'll notice in that paragraph, one of the problems they're having is people call a day or 2 ahead of time, they schedule their appointment, then the daughter says, I can take you, the canceled appointment, something happens, they're not calling back to tell WODA. We end up with the bus drivers at the house and nobody wants a ride. Now you've got a bus driver that maybe could have picked somebody else up or has got empty time on their hands because they've got nowhere to go. So we'd like to get the word out if we can put it on the page through this. If you're gonna make appointments and you end up having to cancel, please call and let them know. That's the first one. Then on the second one, just for the public so you know, and understand, when we talk about populations, up in the northwest corner up here, we're close between the 5 communities, our population is close to 40,000 people. Just to compare that, if you go down to Independence Township, which is the Clarkston area, they're at 38,000 people. So one township almost equals what the 5 communities up here does. If you then go one more township down to Waterford, their population is 70,000 people. So it's a big difference as you get further south. But that being said, we currently, WODA has 18 new transits. They are wrapped, fitted with cameras, and ready to roll. As a result, WODA is going to need to hire 19 more drivers for the goal of increasing our 32 to 35 vehicle daily to 45 vehicles on the road. Now, understand, they have provided 8,200 rides alone this year, but again, that's mostly on that M59 corridor because WODA also serves the city of Waldeck. So those are numbers that are there. I wanted the people to know, but we are fighting to get whatever service we can up here. I've also asked the board if they could give us more specific numbers for our region. They're going to work on that in the future, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Colas. Is there any further public comment?
My first name is Amy, last name is Ray, and a positive note, just
Can you say your address, please, for the record?
Yes, sorry about that, thank you. 108 College Street,
Thank you.
And just want to say a big thank you to everything that the council has done. This is a December meeting, so I thought I would say thank you because you guys have been real active for the community. And another thank you is, on a holiday note, thanks. I was able to attend a premiere of yet another cool Holly movie this past Saturday at the Milford Theater, produced by Joel Paul Reisig. And it's kind of a sequel to Christmas at the Holly Hotel. And it's not yet available for streaming, although the premiere was excellent. And I just really want to say thanks as a resident to the Village of Holly for really encouraging and promoting this accessibility that these small movie producers, there's more than one, and it just is so embraced by the Village of Holly, including even our Chief Narsh has a very humorous role in the movie, and it just is such a nice PR piece, really, and it's an ideal. I know that these are quote-unquote Hallmark movies, but it just really is inspirational and encouraging, and it just really kind of promotes a town that we might all really want to live in, be part of, participate in, and it's just so positive. So I just really want to say thanks to the Village of Holly for really kind of participating in, because it doesn't have to be that way, but it is that way, and it's just delightful. So the new movie is called Doc Holly's Christmas. It's great. So thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. Is there any further public comment? Hearing none, seeing none, I would like to turn the floor over to Chief Watson for a presentation. And is the other microphone working yet, or is there a way to fix it at the podium?
Apparently not. So we checked it prior to the meeting. It was working. We'll have to have it serviced.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
So good evening, council and citizens of Holly. It is with great pride and enthusiasm that we gather here today to recognize a significant milestone for the Village of Holly Fire Department. Our team has always been defined by dedication, courage, and an unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of our community. Today, we take another step forward in that mission by officially welcoming 4 outstanding individuals as our newly promoted sergeants. These individuals have demonstrated exceptional leadership, skill, and dedication throughout their service career. They embody the core values of our department and earned the trust and respect of their peers through their hard work and deep commitment to the safety of our community. As sergeants, they will play a critical role in shaping the future of our department, mentoring future firefighters, leading by example, and continuing to ensure the highest level of standards for the Village of Holly. Please join me in congratulating the achievements of Sergeant David Carricook, Sergeant Don Thompson, Sergeant Katie Hardman, and Sergeant Stephen Steele. Your dedication and leadership inspire us all, and we look forward to the great things that you'll accomplish in your new roles. Let us take a moment to express our gratitude for their service and to reaffirm their shared commitment to safety and the strength of our community. Together we are stronger, and together we will continue to make a difference. I would like to take a moment to congratulate each one of these individuals on an individual basis. First up, I'd like to recognize Sergeant David Carricook. So I'd like to introduce David Carricook. He's an experienced and dedicated public safety professional with over 30 years of service in the fire and emergency medical service field. Currently, he is working as a firefighter paramedic at the Village of Holly. He has a deep commitment to delivering fire and EMS services to this community. With over 3 decades of experience, David has served as a firefighter, paramedic, and engineer across multiple fire departments, including Holly, Independence, Rochester, and Livingston counties, consistently delivering critical care and fire service to Michigan residents. With his extensive training in all facets of public safety and a strong focus on disaster response and operational leadership, David Karacook is poised to bring a wealth of experience and passion for service to the village of Holly, helping to ensure the safety and well-being of this community. If I could bring up Miss Nancy Karacook. Nancy Karacook will be doing the pinning for Mr. David Karacook.
It's brand new.
Congratulations, sir. I also have a
Thank you, congratulations.
certificate for you, David. David.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Secondly, Mr. John Thompson has worked for the fire department for 3 years. John, thank you. Mr. Thompson has worked with the Village of Holly Fire Department for over 3 years. He's made the decision to take on a second career when he was 45, becoming a firefighter and an EMT. He was driven by a deep desire to give back to his community in a meaningful way and has excelled in that role. John is passionate about health and fitness and has encouraged many members of our department to maintain their physical health, to always be ready for the job. He is a proud father of 2 and has been married to Shannon for 23 years. Shannon has supported him every step of the way during this journey. Shannon? Sir?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, and congrats. Congratulations.
Next, I'd like to introduce Sergeant Katie Hardman. I'm excited to introduce Katie Hardman, who's been promoted to sergeant after 12 years of dedicated service with the Holly Village Fire Department. Katie is not only a skilled firefighter, but also an avid weightlifter enthusiast, always pushing herself to new limits. She's a certified CPR, ACLS, and PALS instructor, and has been recognized with many life-saving awards from Genesis Hospital, along with numerous CPR saves. This month, she'll also be graduating from Oakland University with a degree in health science, further demonstrating her commitment to both personal and professional growth. A loving wife to her husband, Joe, and a proud mom to daughter, Brooklyn, Katie truly embodies dedication, compassion, and excellence. It's an honor for Katie to be joined here today by Chief Ed Vita, who will be pinning her badge on her. Ed is a retired senior chief from the city of Detroit with over 40 years of distinguished service, and it's a special moment to see this legacy continue. Please join me in congratulating Katie on this well-deserved achievement. Chief. Finally, I'd like to introduce Mr. Stephen Steele. Steve Steele has served with the Village of Holly for over the past 3 years, bringing nearly 2 decades of experience in fire and EMS. In addition to working, he also volunteers with the Civil Air Patrol and is Shriner Clown. Woo-woo, as we call him at the station. He is a proud father of 3 amazing children and a husband to a forgiving wife. His wife, Caitlin, is here to pin him.
Congratulations.
I'd like to take just one more final moment of council's time in the community. This is an important moment for me as a chief. It's been over a decade since the Village of Holly has had sergeants, and we currently just promoted 4 tonight. This also helps bolster the command staff, which adds to the safety of the community. So I'd like to thank council, village administration, Mr. Jerry Walker, and the community for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief Watson, and thank you to the spouses of the sergeants this evening, and thank you, everybody. Let's all take a 5-minute break, and we'll meet back here. Let's take a 9-minute break and meet back here when that clock says 7 p.m. Will you turn off the mics? That clock is
are correct.
All right, we will bring this meeting back. And
Mr. President, is there a way to turn the heat down a little bit in here? It's getting awfully hot right now. I don't know. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yep, he's getting it. All right, let's see where we're at. We are at old business, which there is none. Now we're at new business. Consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-050, confirming the village president's appointment of James Cascella to the Village of Holly Council. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to consider the approval of Resolution 2024-50, confirming village president appointment of James Cascala to the Village of Holly Council.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Wendell and a second by Ryan. Council discussion. Well, I'll kick it off. I have a letter in favor of Jim Cascala for council, and this is to fill my old seat. Mr. Cascala has been volunteering his time in this community for several years now. We have had an opportunity to watch him learn about processes and order on Planning Commission and on other ad hoc committees as well. He has been persistent in asking relevant questions to better the village and maintain accordance with the law and charter. Mr. Cascala is a veteran who has quickly risen through the ranks at the American Legion here in Holly because of his dedication and hard work. I think we are all aware of this man's intelligence and respectful nature. The matrix I looked at when reviewing applicants included competence, qualifications, volunteerism, leadership, intelligence, vision for Holly, along with the pulse of Holly, and finally, the ability to work well with others. Jim has earned the respect of this community and has put in the time and effort to show what he is capable of, and these are the reasons I have chosen Jim as my recommendation to the council. Any other council members have anything to say? Okay, public comment. Ms. Wallace.
Angela Wallace, 709 Baird Street. I just want to say on behalf of working with Mr. Cascala, I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name, sorry, that
Neither
I
is
work with
he.
him also on the Planning Commission, which I think we've gotten along really great on the Planning Commission. He's got so many wonderful ideas and pointing out things. But I would especially like to say he gets his hands down and dirty as far as working in this community. He doesn't just, it's not just mouth. He's out picking garbage up. He's out walking his kids, making sure things are doing, talking to residents, making sure that they're happy, talking to visitors. Those are the kind of people that we need on our committees and on our councils, and he definitely puts work behind his words. It's not just words, it's not just look at me. He takes his time and actually does the work. So I am all for this appointment, and I just wanted to be able to say that in his favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Any further public comment, or Mr. Cascala, would you like to say anything on behalf of yourself? Yes. All right.
I'm Jim Cascala. I reside at 207 North Saginaw, and I think Angela described me the best. I really want to teach my kids to do good, and whatever that may be, if it is picking up garbage, or if someone's on the side of the road and helping them, or if it's serving our community and making our community better, that's really what I'd like to do. Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cascala. Any further public comment? Hearing none. Seeing none. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes. Motion carried. Mr. Cascala, will you please come up front? And Ms. Bigger, will you administer the oath of office?
Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge my duties
of the office
of the office
which I am about to enter
which I am about to enter,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Welcome to the Village Council, Ms.
Thank you.
Pascal.
So we actually have Mr. Costco's nameplate here, not because we were being presumptuous, but because he was on the planning commission.
Whatever, I'm starting a new rumor. Okay, on to the next agenda item. Point of order, does Mr. Koskela need to recuse himself from the next vote? Or two?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-051, confirming the village president's appointment of James Koskela to the Village of Holly Planning Commission.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Koskela, second by Wendell. Okay, council discussion.
I think he's a great guy personally.
No, that's not gonna affect your ability to be on council now, is it? You're gonna be able to handle both jobs, right?
Hopefully, as long as my wife allows me to, I will be able to do that.
And we do need a council liaison.
I know, I was just being,
Okay.
Comical.
I will, any public comments? Seeing none, hearing none. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Koskela.
Yes.
Kyer.
Yes.
Wendell.
yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Weinbrenner.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. New business item number 3, consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-052, confirming the village president's appointment of James Koskela to the Village of Holly Council Committees, Public Safety, Finance, and Community Development.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Wendell,
I will second.
second by Kyer. Is there any council discussion? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, hearing none. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Kyer.
Yes.
Wendell.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Weinbrenner.
Yes.
Koskela.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. New business item number 4. Consideration of the approval of Resolution 2024-057, confirming the village president's appointment of Shannon Cole to the Village of Holly Council. This is to replace Mr. Kinnaman, who unfortunately had to resign. He had to choose between his new elected position on the Township Board or the Village Council, as these seats were reviewed and seemed to be incompatible. So Shannon Cole is in Europe and sends her deep apologies. She wanted to be here to represent herself. But I have written a letter for her, and then I'm also going to read her letter on her behalf and a letter of recommendation from her employer. Oh, actually, I apologize. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I will second.
We have a motion by Ryan and a second by Kyer. Council discussion.
I would like to speak on Shannon a little bit. I have worked with Ms. Cole for the last couple of years on our Village Parks Commission, where she also accepted an appointment there due to an opening. She is smart. She asks pertinent questions. She's involved in the community. She's just all around a good person. She doesn't only work for our park, she works in the local events that we have. She's worked with the schools. She currently is a school employee. I can't say enough about just how smart she is and what a good addition I think she will make to this council.
Thank you, Ms. Kyer. Okay, here's my letter for Shannon. I have had the pleasure of working with Shannon for the last few years on the Holly Library Board. She has a solid grasp of process, and because of her particular background with budgeting, she helped propel the strategic plan of the library in a meaningful way. I cannot speak more highly of her level of professionalism and teamwork. Shannon has spent time volunteering with the library, parks, dog rescues, and she has been a lifelong Holly resident. She is one of the most intelligent people I have had the opportunity to serve beside, and this council would be fortunate to have her. Shannon has earned my unreserved support, along with that of everyone she served alongside with, and that level of recommendation is not lightly earned. From Shannon. My name is Shannon Cole. I moved to Holly in 2005. My address is 731 East Sherman Street. Currently, I am a commissioner on the Village of Holly Parks Board, as well as having served as a trustee on the Holly Township Library Board. Holly is my hometown, and I want to be available to help with the opening on the Village Council. I have enjoyed my time on the Parks Commission and the Library Board. These positions have given me the ability to see how these types of boards work and a better understanding of our local government. Serving on these boards makes sense to me. The outdoors is a passion of mine, and having been an elementary librarian for a decade with Clarkston Community Schools, these things are second nature to me. I am glad that I can be of service to my community. To know me is to know that I am a lifelong learner. Recently, I have moved into an admin-type position in charge of my school's budget, enrollment, and state reporting. This is my second school year in this position. It is another great learning experience for me. The skills that I have gained would be helpful to our council. My library background makes me skilled in research and technology. Working in public education has helped me to be creative with the resources we have, stretching things and finding extra funding where we can. My work requires me to maintain a level head in emergency situations as well as every day. I love working with children. I love a team setting. Relationship building across communities is important to me. With this seat open on council, I believe that I can help fill some seats on boards as a council liaison as well as aid in the running of our local government. We are a unique village that needs some fresh faces to help give new perspectives. I am ready to do my part. Thank you for considering me. Shannon also solicited her employer for a letter of recommendation, who panicked because he thought she was quitting and getting another job. So he said, I am writing to enthusiastically recommend Shannon Cole for a position on the Holly Village Council. Shannon is a remarkable individual whose skills, professionalism, and character make her an excellent candidate for this role. Shannon is currently my administrative assistant at Springfield Plains Elementary. In my 10 years' time working with Shannon, I have witnessed her exceptional ability to manage and build budgets efficiently. She approaches financial planning with both precision and foresight, ensuring that resources are allocated wisely and effectively. Her keen attention to detail and innovative solutions has consistently led to some successful outcomes in meeting the building's resource demands. Shannon's organizational skills are unparalleled. Whether coordinating complex initiatives or streamlining processes, she demonstrates an ability to handle multiple priorities with ease. Her structured approach ensures that projects are completed on time and within scope. Equally impressive is Shannon's collaborative nature. She excels at bringing people together, fostering an environment where diverse perspectives are valued and teamwork flourishes. She listens actively, communicates clearly, and works tirelessly to build consensus, even in challenging circumstances. A self-starter by nature, Shannon takes proactive steps to address issues before they become problems. Her forward-thinking mindset and dedication to continuous improvement are qualities that will greatly benefit the Holly Village Council and the community it serves. In addition to Shannon's professional skills, her integrity and commitment to serving others are evident in everything she does. Her passion for creating positive change and improving her community is truly inspiring. I wholeheartedly support Shannon Cole's candidacy for the Holly Village Council. I'm confident she will bring her exceptional talents, dedication, and vision to the role. And then he left me contact information if you require further information or insight into Shannon's qualifications, and that is Matthew R. Gifford, the principal. Any further board comments, council comments? Any public comments? Kristen Watt.
Kristen Watt, 102 South First Street, number 3. This is actually the reason I'm here tonight, because I knew that Shannon could not be here. And I have done it before if someone I care about or respect and have worked with professionally is not able to be present. I think it's important that somebody stands here and says something besides just people behind this pulpit. I met Shannon Cole roughly 3 years ago. I did not know her prior to that. We had an opening when I served on the Holly Township Library Board, and we solicited applications as a board. If I recall at the time, I believe we received somewhere between 7 and 9. Don't quote me, but we got a bunch, and they were all, we had PhDs. They were ridiculously almost overqualified in some senses and some very much qualified. And then we narrowed it down. We interviewed several, and ultimately Shannon, it was like the cream rises to the, like she stood out the entire time throughout that interview process. And so we voted unanimously to add her to the library board. She then ran again when it was time and was reelected, and was just reelected actually for her second elected term. The thing I want to say about her though is I only know her kind of professionally. We are friendly, but we're not friends. But we're friends in a service-related environment as we served our library and community. And when she joined the parks, I've watched her flourish, and I got an opportunity to volunteer with her as for Halloween for the kids contest. I was a judge, and so I watched her working with children. I knew she worked with children, but I had not seen it. And she's exceptional at that, but she's also exceptional with working with adults. And without her intelligence and her experience with budgets, buildings, working with contractors, and all the things that she does in a professional role in her teaching job, or her, educator job, she brought all of those skills and assets to our library board, and I have no doubt it's a skill set that translates, and it goes across all types of genres. And lastly, I did want to say, I don't think she would mind me saying this, she did not know I was going to be here tonight. One of the reasons that she's not here and she's in Europe is she spent many years serving our schools long before she joined the library board, and then parks, and now this, so to me it makes sense. But she also represented our community and is currently representing our community abroad, because she for years took in foreign exchange students that came here and went to the schools here in Holly, I believe. And she is actually there visiting former students and their families in Spain with some other colleagues. So I think that's pretty interesting to me. You know what I mean? She really does represent Holly in a lot of ways. And many of you may not know her name. She's never been out here for glory, but she's quietly served for years. And so I just can't say enough about her as a colleague when we served together as our time on the library board. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Swett. Any further public comment? Hearing none. Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Wendell,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Koskela,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Brandon.
I don't know. Yes, yes. Motion carried. Yeah, yay, Shannon. Maybe she's watching. Okay, item number 5, consideration of the approval of resolution 2024-058, confirming the village president's appointment of Shannon Cole to these Village of Holly council committees: HIA, Ethics, Finance, and Personnel. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Ryan, second by Wendell. Council discussion.
I think she'll be a good choice for that board because of the different things that her employer said and what Kristen Watt said and everything else. It seems like that's right up her alley, so.
Thank you, Mr. Wendell. Any further council comments? Any public comments? Seeing none. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Ryan,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Cascola,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. Item number 6, consideration of the acceptance of the resignation of Ms. Shannon Cole from the Village of Holly Parks Commission. So we can only have one Parks liaison. Our liaison is Amber Kyer. Wah, wah. So Shannon is resigning. I will entertain a motion to accept this resignation.
I will make the motion begrudgingly to accept Shannon Cole's resignation from the Parks Commission, effective immediately.
Motion by Kyer,
I'll second.
second by Ryan. Any council discussion? Mr. Haskell?
Thank you. It was my understanding, and perhaps we could ask our attorney to weigh in, that we could have 2 council members on a committee. One would just be the liaison, one would not.
I believe that I spoke with our attorney, but I will turn the
I mean,
floor,
if that's the case, then,
I'll
or
turn
not
the
the
floor
case.
over to Gildner if you wouldn't mind.
Well, goodness, I'd have to look at the charter or your ordinances that created it. I don't independently remember that, but I can try to look here, but I don't know how easy I can do it here on the fly.
So I guess where I'm going with that is, if she doesn't want to be on Parks anymore, it really doesn't matter. But if we're hearing that she still wants to be on Parks and she just doesn't think she can,
I
it may
think
be
I can-
something we could investigate.
I can affirm to my conversation with Gildner, he had checked the bylaws, and that's where the answer was at. Originally, when I spoke with the village manager, Mr. Walker, we had thought that it might be okay, but we wanted to confirm with the attorney. And I think it was in the bylaws that it stated we could only have one Parks liaison on council.
Well, I agree with you that there is one Parks liaison, but you could have a second person that is not the liaison, that's just sitting on the commission.
And that is why we had Gildner investigate it, because that's what we had kind of maybe been hoping.
Okay,
But it said one council member.
okay.
So, and that is why these things went in this order, because it was also just pending her, acceptance to the council as well. So with that in mind, where are we at? Any further council discussion? Okay, any public comment? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Cascola,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Brandon. Yes, motion carried. Item number 7, consideration of the approval of resolution 2024-059, confirming the village president's appointment of Jane DeSessa to the Village of Holly Parks Commission. And that's why that was in this order, because there wasn't going to be a seat open unless. Okay. With that in mind, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 202459.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Koskela and a second by Weinbrenner. Any council discussion? Mr. Koskela?
Thank you. So I did briefly look up, Google is what it's called, I guess, Ms. DeSessa, and if she's willing to help us, I think we would be silly not to say, please come help our village. So
We don't want to be silly.
that's correct. That's correct.
Thank you for that. Any other council comments? I'd like to open it up to the public. Any public comments? Mr. Joe Hutchins.
Joe Hutchins, 419 Thomas Street, Holly, Michigan, Holly Village Parks chairperson. I've known Jane for a lot of years, and her professionalism is the greatest. She's been around other communities and knows the ins and outs of a lot of things, parks, budgeting, finance, administration, and I think she'll be a great asset to our parks in our village. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any further public comments?
Madam President?
Yes, please.
As she's approaching, I'll indicate that Section 3137A of your Code of Ordinances says that one member of the village council shall serve on the Parks Commission in an ex officio capacity.
Thank you. And yes,
Mary Blanchard, 3444 Old Creek Drive. I would like to also speak in support of Jane DeSessa. I think with her background and her experience here in Holly, she would be a great asset. Thank you.
thank you. Any further public, Kristen Watt?
Kristen Watt, 102 South First Street, number 3. I'll keep it super brief, but I wish I'd known Jane longer than I have, but sadly, I met her under sad circumstances, which was knowing and respecting and loving your husband, Mr. Bill DeSessa, before he passed and served in service to this community for so long. But that is how we met, and always kind, always impressive, and mostly with her background. Our parks, as everybody knows, we're slowly inching there, but the funding for the parks, you know what I mean? And so I can't think of another person that has resources and knowledge about things like this that would help drive revenue to our parks department over the long term and just creative solutions. So I'm thrilled to see her back in the circus, if you will, down here in Holly and helping. So that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Watt. Any further public comment? Seeing none. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Cascola.
Yes.
Tyre.
Yes.
Wendell.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Weinbrenner.
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. Congratulations, Ms. DeSessa. You guys are all lucky you said yes, because Joe would have been hopping mad otherwise. Okay, where are we at? That was number 7. So number 8, consideration of approval of the Ace Pyro fireworks contract.
Yes, thank you, Madam President and Council. So in October, I appeared at the Parks Commission meeting. We talked about the annual fireworks event that takes place both on the 4th of July at Lakeside Park and also the Holidays event that takes place the Saturday following Labor Day. And so we met because the Ace Pyro contract, who has been the pyrotechnics contractor for the village for as many years as I've been here, and before that, their contract expired at the end of this year, and they had informed me that they were not able to provide fireworks event right on July the 4th, which has always been the preference of the village parks. For consistency, I think, as well as anything, but right on the holiday. And so as we met with the parks, we talked about the inability of Ace Pyro to perform the event on that day, as well as a slight price increase by Ace Pyro. And the Parks Commission's thoughts were that day was for staff to check with other pyrotechnics companies to see if there were others that could perform a show on the 4th of July. The September event was not an issue. I did check with 3 other pyrotechnics companies, none of which were able to perform shows on the 4th. And all the 3 prior companies, or 3 other companies, all stated the same thing, that because of the budget that Holly uses for fireworks, they just weren't able to perform because the 4th is on weekends over the next couple of years, and the big celebrations occur then. And so they offered the dates of July the 3rd. And so in my discussion with the Parks Commission in October, the agreement was that we would try and get a different company to perform the show on the 4th. If we could not, then we would secure a date with Ace Pyro on July the 3rd of each year. So that's what you have before you. You have a 2-year contract with Ace Pyrotechnics for fireworks displays on July the 3rd for 2025 and 2026, and then for the Saturday following Labor Day in both 25 and 26. The contract price has increased a couple $1,000 to $14,000 for the July show each year, and $4,500 for the September shows. And so that is a slight increase, and so that's the contract that I have before you. Another issue I think that we need to consider when you're thinking about or considering whether to approve this contract is the method of funding. So for the past 13 years, the fireworks have not been funded through the general fund. The funds to pay those have been fundraised primarily by staff. With the changeover in staff, I would anticipate that there's going to be a different method of funding. I think it can still be fundraised, but in my own mind, I think that it needs to be done by a committee, perhaps composed of Village Council, Parks Commission, DDA, and still a staff component. That would be my recommendation. So my request would be that you consider approval of this contract so we can lock it in. I think fireworks is something that the community has come to expect and enjoy, and I think it's beneficial for the community in general. So that is my request. If you decide to approve this two-year contract, I'm going to ask you for direction on how you wish to proceed, as far as if you want to have an agenda item to establish a formal committee for fundraising, or if that's something you want to tackle later down the road. In my mind, the sooner the better. But my request at this time is that you consider this two-year contract from Ace Pyro for $14,000 each year for the July 3rd shows and $4,500 each year for the September shows.
I will entertain a motion for consideration of the approval of Ace Pyro fireworks contract.
I will make the motion to accept the agreement from Ace Pyro to provide fireworks for July 3rd, 2025 and 2026, as well as the 2 years for holidays.
I'll-
Go ahead. I'll second that motion.
Motion by Kyer, second by Weinbrenner. Is there any further council discussion at this time? Koskela.
Thank you, Madam President. So my question is if we're having a problem, or not a problem, a discussion of how we're going to fund it, is there a reason this contract has to be executed now, or we have to do it before the new administration comes in?
My understanding would be that we have to kind of book it in advance, and that's why we're doing the contract now. I mean, we're already
7 months?
Yeah.
Or they're gonna get scooped up, is my
Scooped up.
understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the parks in October, which was our last meeting of the calendar year, and that's when we advised Mr. Walker to try and find something different, because I know that this will disappoint some people being, on the 3rd instead of the 4th, but honestly, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place, so.
Any further council discussion? Okay. Public comment? Seeing none. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Kyer,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Koskela,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried.
So just in finishing up with this item then, would council like an agenda item on the January agenda to consider a committee, fundraising committee for
I
this?
think so. The sooner the better.
Okay.
Volunteers are getting really hard to come by, and everyone that does volunteers for 10 things, so they're getting spread thin too, so the sooner
Thank
the
you.
better. Okay. Oh, number 9, consideration of the approval of resolution 2024-049, designating donated funds and approval of the Key to the Village program.
Yes, thank you again, President Brandon and council. So I will let President Brandon explain the Key to the Village program. But before we do that, because it's funded through public donations, I want to take just a minute to talk about the funding mechanism and the required resolution in order to allow this to happen. So whenever funds are donated to the village or a municipality, any municipality, they become public funds. Public funds then have rules and stipulations on how they can be spent. And so for this particular type of program, it can be spent if it is shown to be a benefit to the community. So the attached resolution is meant to show just that, and with council authorization, then these funds then become expendable for this program and comply with Michigan law. So this is a resolution that Attorney Gildner helped craft, and it puts it in proper form and format. And so if you read through the resolution, in particular, the second paragraph, whereas the village council believes spending the donated funds to benefit prior public servants, such as but not limited to demonstrating support for the prior employees' public service, loved ones, or paying for refreshments during such presentations, is a critical part of creating a positive and supportive environment in the community, and is an overall strategy to help employee retention and camaraderie, and is a benefit to the community. So as I said before, this program really is a supportive program. It's for prior public employees or employees leaving the service, but it is not tax funds. So it's not tax dollars that's being used, it's funds that would be donated, but by virtue of being donated, become public funds. So that's as far as the resolution goes. If you have any questions, I'm sure Attorney Gildner would be happy to answer them. But as far as the program itself, I think since it was your idea, I think it'd be great if you explained it.
Okay, who here knows Postman John? Okay, who thinks Postman John deserves a key to this village? Absolutely. So I want to credit this idea to Postman John because he came to me and he said, April, you know what? My dream before I retire is to have a key to the city. And I said, what can I do about that? So that's what sparked this idea. So I made some criteria. The criteria includes working in the Village of Holly at a government institution. The government institution can be state, it can be federal, it can be municipal. They have to have had 5 of their years being served in the village, but have worked in that line of work or that type of, service for 20 years total. And if some of that was in a different state, that's fine, right? Or if they worked in a nonprofit, I kind of lined out some criteria there. It has to be a position of leadership. So it can't just be anyone that just pays their dues and says, I'm a member of this nonprofit, but they have to have a position of leadership, like a commander or maybe a board or officer, say at the American Legion or the PFW or something. And, that's really about the crux of it, but if there's any questions, I'll take them now from the board. Okay. So, item number 9. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ryan, second by Wendell. Now,
Could-
is there any council discussion on
Yeah.
either for
Could you
Walker?
include the resolution number in the motion?
I'll make the motion to consider the approval of resolution 2024-049.
Okay. Motion by Ryan, second by Wendell. And is there any council discussion? Questions for me or the village manager?
Are you thinking about giving it to Tom? Is it Tom the postal?
John.
John, I'm sorry.
Actually, yes. So in the nomination process, there will be a cost. So if you want to nominate somebody, I believe I had it at $50. That'll cover the cost of materials. And then, like Jerry said, it goes through this process of funding, which he outlined. He can outline that better than I can. And they have to meet the criteria. And as long as the criteria is met, that's it. It's not like we're going to decide if they get it. If you're nominated and you meet the criteria, you can nominate yourself. You get to have one. It'll be, after the council meeting that follows the verification of all of those things.
So there could be
There could be 10.
5,
Sure.
10, whatever. And
Yeah.
anybody, the public or anybody can nominate anybody as long as they pay the fee.
Yep, and they meet the criteria, exactly. Okay. And any public comment? Hearing none, seeing none. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Wendell,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Cascola,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, John the Postman, if you're watching. Okay, reports, please.
Yes, thank you. So in your packet, you have my monthly report. I just want to talk about a few things verbally, and then I've asked for Fire Chief Building Official Watson to address specifically capital improvement plan, because there's been quite a bit of discussion about capital improvement plan, and so I thought council might like an update directly from Chief Watson, who is coordinating that program with the Planning Commission. At the last council meeting, though, first, President Brandon brought up the topic of security cameras downtown. And as you know, this is something that staff has looked at previously. There's some renewed interest in that, which I think is great. And so we currently have met with 2 vendors for security cameras. We have another one that we're talking with right now. We hope to have some quotes soon for that, with some additional information that we can share to council. I think there are a couple of different options that we're having the vendors quote for us. One is a strictly security type camera system where it would just capture video of the downtown. The other one, our other option has a live stream component, which I think has some real advantageous uses to us, particularly during our festival time, car show, any of the numerous events that we have downtown could be live streamed directly on YouTube, just like all of our public meetings are. And I think that that might help drive some additional business for the town, and if nothing else, attract more attention or renew interest for people who were here long ago. And so I think this is something that the DDA may have interest in also, particularly the live streaming aspect, but I know security is always in the forefront of everybody's mind. The good news is we don't really have a crime problem in the downtown, but that's how we want to keep it. And so, you know, I think this is just one of those tools that will help out. The second thing that I'm going to talk about before Chief Watson takes the microphone is that of the police holding cells. So there's been conversation on that. Even tonight in this meeting, there was conversation on that. Chief Narsh has provided a brief written update that's in your packet. I'm sure the chief would be more than happy to answer any questions if you should have them, but the piece of advice that I would give on almost everything, but this in particular, is don't believe always what you read on Facebook, because it's not always true. And so the police department does an outstanding job. The department is filled with dedicated men and women who work tirelessly to protect the community, and arrests are not skirted, and the officers don't try to get around doing their job due to the lockup. So they use the lockup as they can, and when necessary, they do. The reality of it is the Oakland County Sheriff's Department does not have the capacity to accept all prisoners as they used to. But prisoners who need to be locked up are locked up and detained. And so I leave Chief Narsh's write-up that's in your packet for you. If you have any additional questions and you'd like him to go into more detail, I'm sure he'd be happy to do that, even at a future meeting if you would like. And so that's all I have regarding that. So I'll turn the capital improvement over to Chief Watson.
Good evening again. Over the past several months, there's been multiple questions and comments regarding the status of the village's capital improvement plan. The water department and the wastewater treatment plant have an asset management plan, which is very similar or can be related to a capital improvement plan that are submitted to the state of Michigan annually. The Planning Commission has been working diligently over the past several months to put a plan in place. Our next meeting is coming up on a week from Wednesday, and that is one of our topics of discussion. I'd be happy to answer any in-depth questions that you may have moving forward regarding the capital improvement plan.
summary so far of what might be on it?
We do have a spreadsheet lined up that was put together by the Planning Commission. This project is just being honest and transparent. This is above me, so I rely heavily on the staff at Rowe Engineering who will be finalizing this project. There has been some comments regarding getting other commissions involved in a future meeting. But according to Rowe Engineering and their staff, that would be unorthodox, not a normal practice that you would see in many of the other communities that they serve. So we will be educating the Planning Commission on some of those new findings and procedures at the meeting next Wednesday. We do have a hope to have this completed before July of 2025 with some community input later on in the spring.
After completion, can council have maybe an update from whatever's relevant, whether it's from you, whether it's from Rowe Engineering, a presentation of some sort?
So the normal procedure, absolutely, Madam President, but the normal procedure is once it is approved by Planning Commission, it would come in front of this for the final approval. So you will see the final drafted document for approval. Our goal is before the July 2025 meeting. But it is a very extensive document, and it is a live running document that is constantly being updated and refreshed.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay. I think the only other update I was looking for was Airbnb restrictions. I think we've tended to everything else that I've asked for.
So that's in the building department, so Chief Watson will address that also.
I did not mean to wait until you sat down.
It's been a fun day, so I like the exercise. So I did receive, or I was at the council meeting when you did make that request. I did start reaching out to some of my acquaintances, and mostly at Rowe Engineering. They think that the ordinance that Fenton Township had put in place may be a violation in some legalities, which, you know, it didn't go beyond that. I did talk to Mr. Walker and administration and Rowe. But as far as that, you know, we really haven't made much more movement than that. I would lean heavily on Attorney Mr. Gilner on clarification. If we can, one, allow only a certain amount, and if so, then ask for his assistance in drafting that ordinance.
Okay.
I think it is a kind of a rocky endeavor.
Okay. And is there currently from the state or federal level some kind of limitation, or is there any kind of possibility that every single home in town could potentially become an Airbnb?
I believe that is possible. I know Mr. Kinnaman is also in the room. He and I have worked extensively on the short-term rental process several years ago on the Planning Commission. And I know there are some really big communities, Frankenmuth, Traverse City, that did try to eliminate or minimize the amount of short-term rentals on their thoroughfares. But I do not know the outcome of where they lied with that final ruling of their commissions.
Thank you. And I think, Mr. Gilner, it sounds like this is simply out of our purview.
It's something that can be done. And I've helped prepare some ordinances for some of my other communities, so it can be done. Now, every year, there is talk in Lansing about the state taking over and taking away local control, but so far, that has not happened. It's a difficult ordinance to prepare, which isn't to say it can't be done, because it has been done, but it's something that we would have to work at. The ordinances that I've been involved in do not address, quote, Airbnb, but short-term and long-term rentals, drawing distinctions between them, et cetera. So if I had some more guidance, I could, perhaps put together a draft, something for all of you to consider. But in each community, it's different rules, different wants, et cetera. So I would need some input from you before I could put something together.
I think considering the vulnerable social economic status of much of our village community and the tourist attraction that is the Hub of Holly, that we need some protections in place. I don't know if the rest of council agrees, but what would be the next step in the process of moving forward with this?
I would just need some direction from the village. Get working on it, one, and two, this is what we would like to see, or some of the terms and conditions we'd want to consider.
Would that need to go to a subcommittee, a presidential order, a council motion, an agenda item?
Well, I think possibly, and I know that Chief Watson has discussed this with Roe, but I mean, in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a proper avenue for that may be to come back through the planning commission.
Well, certainly if it's a zoning ordinance, it's going to have to go to planning commission anyway. That's the route it would have to take, and that's what most communities do, is they regulate it through zoning, which makes sense.
Okay.
So I think Mr. Cullis may have a comment.
Mr. Cullis?
You might want to wait for the end of this lame duck session. Right now, House Bill 5438 is up. We're waiting to see if they're going to pull it out of committee and vote on it. I think they've got a couple days left of lame duck. And as you know, they all try to shove a whole lot of stuff through at the last minute.
And when do you think that this lame duck's going to be a dead duck?
Mr. Coach, use the microphone just so we can get the recording of it.
Thank you, Chief.
So I'm not sure that the date when the newly elected officials take over, but I know that right now they're in session, and depending on who you talk to, they're not sure if there's support for it, but I know they're working in the background. But it is House Bill 5438, and we've just kind of been watching to see if they're going to pull it forward or not. And as you know, they won't pull it forward unless they're sure they have the vote. But Lane, do you know what day they take office?
I don't, but to that point, that has been the case for as long as we've been talking about short-term rentals. There has always been an effort in Lansing to take away local control to one extent or another, and it hasn't gone anywhere. Now, if you were to adopt something and the state were to step in, well, your ordinance, you're out the effort and you're out the money.
Okay.
But at this point, I'm telling clients, forget about Lansing, because we don't know what they're doing and when they're going to do it, because
Mr. Cullis.
this has been a continuous effort.
Okay, then I'd like to send it to planning and, have them keep an eye on ducks. Mr. Cascella?
Madam President, would it be appropriate to simply ask our attorney to provide documentation that he has provided or created for other municipalities? We can just see what the other ordinances are.
Shoot it over to planning, if there is anything relevant.
Happy doing so.
Thank you so much.
Madam President,
Mr. Wendell?
is a Airbnb considered a hospitality, or is it considered a short-term rental?
I don't know.
Because I know I've seen, like, when you walk into village offices and stuff like that, especially ours, we have certain areas that are single-family homes, multifamily home areas and everything else, but if it's considered a hospitality, then it's considered a business, commercial. And that could fall on the
Cleaned
certain.
with, sure. So I think we'll send that to planning to have them,
I don't know.
have those experts look into those legalities.
Maybe, I don't know, because I don't know how to find out if it would be considered a hospitality or not, or if there's, what taxes they charge on it, because I know when you pay rent, you don't pay tax. But if you have to pay tax on Airbnb, then that's like, it's a hospitality, like a hotel.
All right, well, we'll get them investigating, and let's see, where are we at? So So that was the manager and the staff reports. Board and commission updates, council comments. I'll start with you, Mr. Wendell.
I do have one comment, it's actually for Chief Watson. My first comment is, do we have any full-time firefighters on duty, on staff? And if not, how can we go about doing that?
If you're comfortable taking those.
Sorry to make you walk back up here again, I was gonna try to stop you, but.
To the best of my knowledge, we are the only department in Oakland County that does not have full-time staff. I am the only full-time employee for the Village of Holly Fire Department.
And how many people do we usually have on a shift?
We staff the station 2 personnel, 24/7, 365. We also have Fire Marshal Kurt Nitschke that is dedicated 30 hours a week, and myself at 40.
Now, if we did have possibly a full-time, 1 or 2 officers or sergeants or whatever, however you want to say it, would that make your job easier?
Of course.
I would only offer this, though, that if the village had the revenue stream to pay for those firefighters, obviously that would be first choice to have that. But by the same token, I'll offer that there are part-time paid firefighters that work for Chief Watson that have turned down full-time employment with other fire departments because they like the type of scheduling and firefighting and the leadership that is provided here at the village. And so, you know, you say, how do you go about it? Well, you go about it by hiring full-time people. The problem is, you're talking roughly $100,000 to $125,000 per full-time employee per year, and there simply is not the budget for that. So we provide firefighting through the method of part-time fire department, which is what we do now. I think we do a good job. I think, no deference to any fire department around us, but I would hold our fire department up to any fire department in comparison to skill, to response, to caliber of personnel. And so, I mean, I'm very proud of the department. I think they do a great job. I think Chief Watson is doing a good job. I mean, would it be better to have 10 full-time firefighters? You bet. Could the Village of Holly afford 10 full-time firefighters? Not a chance. And so that's where we're at. So we do the best that we can with what we have, but I purport that what we have is the best that you would have even if you had full-time firefighters. I mean, that's the caliber of people that we have.
No, I agree with you, Mr. Walker. I was curious about whether or not we had any or not, or what was the reasoning behind it or anything like that. But no, I put our fire department up against Troy, White Lake, Walled Lake, anybody. I think they do a wonderful job, and they're led by a wonderful teacher over here.
Thank you, Councilman Wendell, and thank you, Chief Watson. Tom Kyer.
Yes, ma'am. Parks did not meet. We will meet again in January. I see that Mr. Kinnaman is here tonight, and I just wanted to say that I enjoyed working with you, and I'm very sad that you have left us. But I'm grateful for the 2 people that we have also appointed tonight. I think this council is shaping up to be a lot of good thinkers, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness that you've put into your appointments, Madam President.
Thank you.
And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Councilman Ryan.
Yes, I was just wondering if there's like a process or policy we can include to have all of our meetings and special meetings to be on the email. Like when we have a special meeting go out, sometimes it's not on the emails, and I know before I was on council, I would look at it. Not everyone has the access to come up to the building to check the bulletin board, see if there's a special meeting coming up.
So special meetings are posted via social media and on the website and GovDelivery. So there are some 3,000 persons that are subscribed to GovDelivery, and that's where they're posted. I'm not sure what other email format you would like. That GovDelivery really is our email blast
Right.
to the community.
Right, I noticed personally that the last few that I looked at for special meetings that I've even attended weren't on it,
Okay.
so.
Well, certainly, yeah, we can certainly make sure that we pay particular attention to that, but that is our format. But I appreciate the comment for sure.
All right, thank you, Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Weinbrenner.
I've got a couple things there, Village President. I would like to bring one thing up, reference what Mr. Walker said earlier about our cells and stuff. I would wonder, because we only have it, the council people have it. I would like to know if Chief Narsh would like to come up to the mic and kind of explain it to maybe some of the public of what's going on with our cells.
I'll warn you in advance, I'm not as nicely dressed as my partner over the And I think that's honestly why he made 3 trips.
He's younger too.
Ouch, ouch.
Man, it's a rough crowd tonight. Boom. Thank you, sir. So, and I don't want to keep you. So, and I'm totally not sure how this misunderstanding or miscommunication is happening here. So, Ms. Mattson asked to meet with me in late October and wanted to tour the police department. I said, absolutely. And during that meeting, she had asked several questions, and I tried to provide as clear of information as I could on any topic that she brought up, and I gave her a tour. The cells aren't pretty to look at, that's for certain, but I had mentioned that we had plumbing issues and some other issues for which they are not in use. And in addition, as we toured the booking area, there's a very large 1950s kind of Jetson-looking camera in the back of the booking room. That became a discussion, and I mentioned that that is our Oak video arraignment process, and that hasn't worked since I arrived here in 2019. Those were placed in any police department that had a holding cell, and the purpose of that was you could arraign the prisoner, and literally at any court where a warrant is held within the Oakland County or the Clemmis footprint. The Clemmis footprint now encompasses 5 counties, so that's kind of a cool deal. Our cells were deactivated, and I'm going to ask Mr. Walker or Mr. former Officer Weinbrenner, what year did your dispatch center transfer over?
I think it was about 2011, wasn't it?
2011 or 12, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was consistent with many other departments across Oakland County. But there's several requirements to have a holding cell. These are not jails, these are holding cells. If you have a jail, you've got to have dietitian staff, you got to have a full-time doctor and in the building. We'd be healthier, but, so you've got to not only have that, but the cells have to meet certain criteria. We don't have cells, Oakland County has cells. We have our jails, we have a holding cell. Holding cells are short-term, 3 to 6 hour maximum. The advantage of those holding cells that we're working back to the court. Absent that, you have to drive all the way to the Oakland County Jail, lodge your prisoner, and then they're arraigned through another means. The other advantage of having the holding cell open is if we have individuals throughout the course of the day that if they're very disruptive, we can place them in that cell, at least until we can bond them out, calm them down, or find other means to safely release them. The problem with the cells is we don't meet the state standard in that the plumbing is kind of shot. So the first year I got here, we put together a program to reopen the cells. The cells were vacated in 2011 or 2012 because you have to have someone in the building 24/7 if someone is in that cell, and they have to monitor that cell. Now you can do that with video. And there were cameras there, but the cameras weren't, at that time, the video system wasn't real reliable because it didn't have audio. So you got to be able to listen. So there were several things holding back the proper use of the cells. You have to have somebody there at night. So we put together a program in anticipation of opening the cells around 2020. And that program is simply you have people come in, part-time, civilian, and I'm going to go around the room here and try to get some more people in the cell watch program because, especially trained. So they would come in on a moment's notice. If an officer makes an arrest and it's somebody that we would have to drive them to the Oakland County Jail, or with the limits on who we can lodge at the Oakland County Jail, and we talked about that briefly when we talked about some of the mental health issues that were before us. We can't lodge people with mental health issues in a jail. We can't lodge misdemeanors such as disorderly person, drunken disorderly, people that are being an annoyance, even an arrestable offense of disorderly conduct. They will not accept them at the Oakland County Jail. This has been a 20-year restriction where you can only lodge a felony, an assaultive charge, or charges where there's an open warrant from a prosecutor order. And part of that is the overcrowding issues. So there's not a lot of folks we can take down there. That's where our cells become an advantage. So we put together the program where an officer would make an arrest, and if it's somebody that could be lodged at the jail, but we could lodge them here, we save driving an officer down. And we don't have an officer leaving the village, and it's safer not handling prisoners more than you have to, especially if it's a violent encounter. So you've got to have the person there. You've got to have at least functioning water within those cells. The toilets have to flush, the sinks have to work, and they have to be a safe environment. So part of my audit when I first got here in 2019 is to look at the cells, and it was like, but at that time they were kind of working, but we didn't have the monitoring system. We put that in place. So in 2020, we have a place, and it's very efficient, very effective, part-time people. They come in at a low hourly rate and would watch that cell. So about the time that we had that available, we began to have some major leaks, not just, this isn't just a plumbing leak. These are the major, there's a plumbing closet, if you will, between the two cells, and there's a vacuum system. And I don't understand this. I've had to have DPW out there several times because odor comes up through the floor drains. They actually flush the drains in the center of the cell. But that whole system is rotted and bad. It's kind of expensive. We've quoted that out. We actually have it in the budget this year. We've got to rip out all of that plumbing, all of the plumbing down to those flushing drains in the floors, and the stainless steel are kind of custom built cell toilets and sinks, if you will. And I'm not going to open a cell or put somebody in there if we don't have that working. Number one, it violates state law. Number two, it's inhumane. We're not going to do it. And so this year we've got that in the budget. It's underway. I will note that we had a local individual that for about a year, and I was trying to be very patient because I'm very cheap, all right? And this individual was actually going to totally restore the cells at no cost to the village. And he has the skill set, the expertise, and the ability. So for about a year, I kept contacting him saying, you got to get these open. And that went from 22 into 23. Actually into late 21 into early 23. The individual, and I'm not saying anything bad because you know what, this person does a lot of great things in the community. He made the promises, and I was told that, he was getting the equipment, but there were other things in his business that kept popping up. So finally it got to the point where I had to come back to council. And I had mentioned to several people that, hey, we've got this great guy and we're finally going to get these cells open. And that went for a year and 2 months, and finally I said, I can't go any longer, I got to get them open. So we budgeted that. They're underway now. We've had the quote, they've had to order the equipment. Actually, I anticipate the work being done in late this month or early January. The camera issue is a separate issue. That has nothing to do with the cells. It's an advantage. But the Oak Video System is a camera system put in by Oakland County Clements, the Courts and Law Enforcement Information Management System. They put those in. That's been there I don't know how many years. It hasn't worked since I got here. But they haven't worked at any place that has them in the last 5 or 6 years because they lost funding. Clements operates all of the police technical systems that we have, including our CAD computer systems in the cars, our Fusion platform, if you will, that stores all of our police reports, our data. Going because I'm pushing for the most efficient, safe way we can arraign prisoners. And that is not have to handle them or drive them to the court. And so that system would allow us to bring them out of the cell, put them in front of the camera, arraign them before the court, transfer the papers back and forth for requesting an attorney, things like that. Super safe, super efficient. If they give them personal bond, we cut them loose right there. Saves time, clears cases, less handling of people. The court system, their camera system at the court has been broke down just as long. So finally, about 9 months ago, 10 months ago, I got a phone call from Clements saying, we're finally going to fix those Oak Video prisoner arraignment camera systems. And So now, we just received notice about a month ago, our system is being refurbished in January, and the 52nd Third District Court system is being refurbished in February. So we're going to be able to use those camera systems. Anybody can be taken down and arraigned after the arrest, and that's what we've been doing. There is absolutely zero issues with the security and safety that our officers and staff are doing in this community. If anything, I'm kind of pushing do more, right? And they're doing exactly what I'm asking them to do. They're very responsive, they're very professional. Where there's an arrest, we make it. No part and no point since 2011 have those cells impacted any of decision to arrest. It's not even a thought process in our minds because they haven't been active since 2011. We take the prisoners down and we do the arraignments if that's what we can do. If not, we have to what's called advise and release. And the advise and release acronym is unfortunately so popular across Oakland because we can't use the Oakland County Jail unless it's a very violent crime or a felony, and most people don't have holding cells, most departments. So we're limited, so we advise and release on most warrants. My thought process is let's get those fixed. Let's clear out the warrants. I was at a meeting at the court 3 weeks ago. I've got a recommitment from the court to use that Oak video system when it comes back online in February. Because the first half of the meeting was the magistrates, the judges, and the court administrators talking about how many open arrest warrants there are out there, but every time we arrest them, we just have to advise and release because the jail won't take them. So to fix that, I've been trying to get it done for 3 years, and I'm this close to having it done. We have the most efficient cell. There's nobody that's got a cell watch program like that out there. And I know other departments that I haven't called them, but I think it would be helpful to them because they're like us. They don't have a dispatch center, but they have holding cells. So it's very inexpensive. It's already in our budget. The cells are in the budget. They've been budgeted to repair, and they're underway. So I don't understand where the miscommunication happened, but that's what's going on with that, and nothing's changed since 2011 and 2019 when I got here and started pushing then to make these things functional and habitable. And they will be soon, and they keep our officers safe, and they'll help us clear cases, but they are not obstructing us, and there is no public safety issue whatsoever by not having them, I assure you. I would not tolerate that. I wouldn't settle for it. But pretty soon it's going to be better and easier. It's just going to cost a little plumbing. We almost got it for free, and I was willing to wait for that. He's a great guy, and it just didn't happen. I know he's very, very busy, but it delayed me for probably 13, 14 months at least. And I think you're familiar with that.
Oh, yes.
I was asking you to make some phone calls on our behalf as well. So, and that's the story, and that's where it's at. But there is no hazard of public safety. We make all the same arrests. Our staff are professional, dedicated. It has nothing to do with the job we perform.
So in summary, the cells will be fixed by the end of January. That's the plumbing, and the cameras will be refurbished by the end of February. And we're also considering on-call, low-fee babysitters.
I am so gun-shy in answering all of those questions. So what I'll say is I've been told that we're going to be refurbished in January, and I just got that phone call 3 days ago from the Clemens rep. I was told by Brett Derry, who is the 52-2 court administrator today, that theirs is being refurbished in February, and she was told that by the same guy that told me. So I'm going out there on a limb, but yes, ma'am. That's yes, ma'am, President. That is January is us, February is the court. In our cell watch program, I've confirmed 3 out of the 5. Unfortunately, they've sat there for 3 years and not had to be used because the cells deteriorated. The other thing is I was ripping out the floor myself. So we need new floors. So during this process, to save money, that's being cheap. You know, at those bars, that paint can last another 30 years. But there is no, if anything, what we have designed and put in place is really cool, really effective, highly efficient. Officers, safer for our community, going to allow us to detain, hold, not lodge, people who may be short-term violent or disorderly that the jails won't take. And ultimately, that's part of the security and safety that we'll gain.
Well, thank you so much for your in-depth report.
You're welcome, and I just wish I looked better.
Oh, you look fine, Chief.
And younger.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, any other?
Chief Nars, yeah, I have one more thing. I've noticed that, the flagpole there at the police department hasn't had any flag on it recently. Is it, is there an issue with it?
Well, I think, well, I know we've changed the flag out a couple of times in the last couple of years, because our, I'm not sure if you contact DPW or who, but there's, something in there that needs replacing.
Okay,
And to be honest, sir, I can't remember when that was,
okay.
but, yeah, there's a part in there that needs something in the wind-up
So we
thingy.
can get that fixed,
Yeah.
the DP director can look at it and see what's going on?
I asked the guy that was gonna do the cells to fix that, and he said he'd get back to me. But, yeah, that's where they're at.
Okay,
Yeah.
Who's this
Thank
guy,
you.
so I don't hire him as my plumber?
I'm sorry?
I wanna know the guy's name so I don't hire him as my
I
plumber.
know, but he's a great guy if you hire him. I mean, he was gonna do this all out of his own power, but he is a good guy. So if that name ever sneaks out, he's a great guy. He just couldn't get to me. Happy to answer any other.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right, thanks, sir.
Appreciate it, chief.
All right. Thank you.
Great, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, we were at, where are we?
I've
We were at Buster.
got one more
Did you have any more
question.
council?
Yes,
Yep.
I did. Chief Watson, can you walk back up here again and? Hey, I'll make this short, honestly. I know everybody wants to go home. And another reference on your flagpole too, I noticed there's been no flag on it and that there for some period of time. Can you tell me if it's broken down or if it's,
It is, yes, it is broken. We and our staff was unable, we were educated in a lot of things, but when it came to that flagpole, it stumped us. So I believe it needs a new rope and a similar function like Chief Narsh explained.
did you contact anybody in reference to it?
I believe we did contact, maybe flagpoles, et cetera, maybe DPW at one point.
Oh, okay, okay. Take a look at that one too, Brian? Thank you, sir.
Poor Brian.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you, Chief.
I can assist you, Brian, if you need. You know, I got all kinds of flagpoles.
All right, Councilman Cascella, you better be prepared.
Let's do this. Chief Watson. You can stay there. You're fine, you're fine. No, sir, you're fine, you're fine. I do want to give props to, I think Chief Watson said 11 years we haven't had sergeants. So I think that's a big reflection on your department there, bringing everyone up. So thank you for doing that. And if you guys haven't been by to check out engine number 1, or just the department in a whole, the horn's awesome. It's got a foot pedal, you can hit it, and it's great. I also wanted to thank President Brandon for appointing me first, and everyone else for confirming me here. I will not let you guys down, and I won't let the village down either. Regarding us, I think we can do a lot here. You know, Mr. Walker always jokes he has 7 bosses, and we are the 7 here. So I think there's a lot we can come to the table and say, hey, let's work on this, let's work on that, like the cameras that our President Brandon has done. So great, I'd like to see more of that type of collaboration. I'm in the Planning Commission. There's a couple members here. Coming up, we've got, as Mr. Watson had mentioned, we've got the capital improvement plan, which Roe has really been leading us and guiding us. This is kind of a new process for most of us, I think. And there has been some spirited discussion and debate about what needs to be included, what doesn't need to be included. So I think everyone as a whole is really working well together. I think we have on the pack coming up, there's going to be a new Airbnb potentially, and a special use for a business at a home. I think there's going to be some other things, but I don't recall. I'd also like to remind public, during public comment, if it's the first time you're making a comment is to us, it would be super helpful if you would go to our staff first. We've got great staff, and if they don't help you, we will definitely try to help you. So try to contact our staff first. They're the ones who get paid, and we're basically volunteers here, I think. I think some of us lose money.
$798.
Is that what it
you
is? I think some of us lose money when you figure in childcare.
That's a
So,
year, not
yeah.
a week,
get.
not
Right,
a month.
yes, just a clarification, a year, Jim.
I heard it was 900.
Maybe before
That's
taxes.
before taxes.
Oh.
That's before FICA.
Was that all, Mr. Cascola?
Oh, and one last thing. So we have fire department reports. It says their calls and everything else. If we could get police reports of their calls, what they're doing, or enforcements, I think that would really show our community. Well, I think that's, I understand. Oh, he's coming up.
It was like you said, Beetlejuice.
Yes.
2 for me, 5 for him. My apologies to council. I've been dealing with a family emergency, and I've been out for the last 2 weeks dealing with that. And you would have gotten my normal monthly report that has those stats and figures, but I haven't been in the office, so
Okay.
my apologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay,
Nothing else.
all right. Jerry, you already did yours, right?
Yeah, we
I
did.
did.
Good. We
I think
all
we're
done.
at me now, okay. I spoke with some local residents on College Street and the village manager, and some of the parking issues seem to be resolved, at least at the moment, for some people. Further, there's going to be some parking expansion behind the vault and down to Oakland, potentially, hopefully to alleviate further parking issues. And that is something we talked about at the DDA meeting yesterday. Since I'm the liaison to that, Chief Narsh gave a detailed report, and he's hard at work collecting data to create a resolution for our parking issue. And it could create up to 200 spaces for parking, running from behind the mill down to Academy with an entrance over there. And it would be a public-private partnership, free to the public to park there, though. So that's the update for the DDA. And we have cityhood versus charter township versus remaining a village. And I know that the last council spoke on that a bit and kind of gave the okay to go ahead with research. Cheryl and Everly recently requested that I solicit university help. So Mr. Walker is going to be reaching out to some professors at universities to see if some graduate students could take on this project, potentially saving our village an enormous expense. Is that it? Guys, that might be it. This meeting is adjourned.
I will see you back in 2025.